So don't do things from the outside in, do things from the inside out. And use movement as a tool to empower you. Most of all, just having fun and just discovering a sense of, easier said than done. But
A gangster is a person that people look up to. Everybody had gangsters in their neighborhood. You know, everybody had gangsters.
Trying to better self, that's a gangster move. Working on your health, that's a gangster move. Clearing up the mind is a gangster move. Being a man about his word is a gangster move. Trying to better self, that's a gangster move. Working on your health, that's a gangster move. Clearing up the mind is a gangster move. Being a man about his word is a gangster move. Legs folded, got my hands in the diamond mudra. Promote peace, but I still let the iron thunder. I come from under, used to wonder if I survived the summer. Now it's still in here, my heart like a conga drummer. Used to the noise, went to sleep with the trains passing. Fiend for action, now for quiet, got a deep passion. Promoting stillness to the homies like the latest fashion. Put it all in a verse and how your speakers blasting. I've been fasting on the weed and the alcohol. Hard to do it when the bros blowing in the hall. So far from raw, getting calls for narcotic sales. My elevation show me bigger than them jail cells. Trying to better self, that's a gangster move. Working on your health, that's a gangster move. Clearing up the mind is a gangster move. Being a man about his word is a gangster move. I've been alkaline of water, add chlorophyll. Training my mind to stay focused, manifesting will. Sit in the living room and contemplate. Stay in the zen state, voyage of a hero through the tri-state. The rogue knight meant to write on the master path. Trying to clean up my mind and shine the better half. The yoga buzz, chest boxing with ingesting toxins. The big homie trying to show him that there's better options. Lead by example, it's important cause the kids watching. The journey started till I get there, there ain't no stopping. Legs fold.
my name is Sean Edwards. I am 40, soon to be 49 years of age. And I live in a strange triangulation of London, Rotterdam and the Pyrenees. I work in London, I father a child in Rotterdam, and I have my off-grid escape plan in the Pyrenees.
What's the best place for you to be in of those three?
Obviously with my son right now, maybe in a few years not. But well, when I'm working, that's usually London. And when I'm fathering with my son. That's not only a joy, but a necessity. And not only a necessity, but a joy. And the Pyrenees is, yeah, that's probably where my heart is and my soul. I get the biggest sense of freedom there and the highest resonance from the land. Because it's something that's called a high telluric zone, so it has the least amount of electromagnetic pollution on the land. So,
what's your history of sports and movement? How did you get started and where did you get started?
when I was 6 years old, I moved to London and started going to a school that, as I was there, doubled up as a community centre called the Priory Community Centre. And being a hyperactive child, around about that age, just arriving in London, I was very excited, very keen to make friends and show off. So I remember buying my first record, Rockin' Robin, followed by Brown Girl in the Ring, followed by I Will Survive, and naturally started dancing to the point where my mum would come back from the pub with their friends and wake me up to see me dance. So I was always very hyperactive and physical from a child. At school, I was always jumping around, swinging off things, flipping. So one of the teachers there asked me to join his gym class, which was a real gymnastics training class. A guy by the name of Ian Comfort, who actually was one of the co-runners of the community centre that was just starting up kind of around the school hours. And it became so successful that the school closed down and the community centre continued. And there they taught gymnastics, Lao Ga, Wing Chun, there was Lindy hopping, there was tap dancing. And a little bit later on there was the first early start of the whole hip-hop community and b-boying, which started there, and a lot of famous b-boys came from that area. And that particular community centre, which is sort of legendary in London status. So that was my genesis there, being surrounded by a lot of older, more active and physically more dexterous and just better than me. And I started doing Lao Ga, Wing Chun, gymnastics, and just rolling around dancing and just being active. So that was my early foray into it. And then I really got into the dance, really started being inspired by a lot of the older kids, the bigger kids, and quietly would practice and then throw down and then join some of the crews around there. And I guess that was the beginning of it. yeah, mixing a lot of acrobatics with dance, with robotics. I was into robot at the time. So yeah, I guess from my inception I was always very physical and very active, and took a lot of enjoyment from that.
Do you still dance?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's you, right? That's your identity, kind of part of your identity.
Well, I'm a rhythmic creature. I guess it's instilled deep in my DNA, and I've never stopped, and it's helped me through countless ups and downs as a form of expression. I've seen immense psychological benefits from dancing when the chips are down, and as well as dancing when everything's going well. Yeah, for me it's a very important expression. I'm more of a less of a technical dancer, I'm more of a spirited freestyler. So I like to be impulsed by my environment as to how I dance. So I don't really follow any clear ethos on that.
Maybe elaborate on dancing when the chips are down, or maybe when you're really feeling high.
I was lucky to be around in a time when there was a lot of different subcultures burgeoning alongside one another for prominence amongst all the different potential fads, fashions and subcultures who were looking for different feels and moods behind an expression of a youthful expression. So for a while, before I was really into hip-hop, I was into two-tone, I was into ska, and that involved a lot of dancing, a lot of skanking, a lot of very simple, quite upbeat moves, usually dancing on the upbeat or skanking on the downbeat. And for me, it always helped keep a sense of balance, and I could explore the parameters of my physical capabilities and also the parameters of my time-space coordinates around me. So I never went to class. I always watched and observed and then reintegrated what I could see into my own inimitable style. So for me, it was a great exploration, dancing for hours to music and not feeling like I was trying to impress anybody. Although ultimately I would try to distill what I was learning and then pull it out when the need was there, i.e. in a battle or something. I used it as a means of exploring my own inner potential, and that fed into an emotional need for satiation. And I think I ain't gonna lie, drugs came into it at some point. There was a lot of use of psychedelics, certain uninhibitors that help you explore further at that youthful age. So when I was happy, yeah, the dancing would intensify, the dancing would become an expression of that joy, that happiness, that sheer euphoria at being able to move unlimited and unhindered. And on a down level, I would almost dance the blues away and entertain and dance into that feeling. So, you know, it wasn't just allowing joy and happiness to be the inspiration behind my moves, but sometimes the pain and the sorrow and the hurt and let that come out. So for me, you know, dancing was just an expression of two different polarized forms of energy.
With this being such a big part of your life, where did it got you? Did it got you maybe got to make work out of it? Or how big of a part is movement still for you nowadays?
Well, it's very big. It's very big. I say the only thing I ever trained in when I was 17, 18, I was working in community theatre, and that was a very good project opportunity started by the local council, and it was basically an initiative for older youth to train the younger youth who were maybe a little bit directionless and getting into trouble. So we were shown by older youth certain, everything from gumboot to jazz dancing, like real street jazz dancing, to pansula, to hip hop. And this formed a very good foundation for me then being able to go out and apply the discipline I learned in mime and physical theatre school, which was nearly 2 years of study. And from there, I went on to work in a vegetarian restaurant, cutting vegetables. But I would dance a lot around that, dancing in the centre of London. I would dance on my lunch breaks, I would dance putting the rubbish out. I was very animated, you could say. And from this, I actually got work and got asked to audition for certain videos, and I ended up dancing for George Michael. Sometimes when I was at clubs, I'd get asked by people who were maybe talent spotting to ask to be in a video. And from there, yeah, I ended up getting more work. I danced in quite a few underground hip-hop videos and MTV videos, and performed at MTV Music Awards way back in the early 90s. And then around about 95, I auditioned for Stomp and I was accepted, and thus the next 13 years of my life was spent learning some very complex routines and working in a discipline and a format I didn't really know, not being a drummer of any real sorts. I could move well and in rhythm, and the show was kind of 50% dancers who couldn't drum but looked good, and then 50% drummers who couldn't dance but sounded good. So we kind of be an amalgamation of that, and I travelled around the world, had a lot of amazing experiences on that. And then around about 2008, 2009, I stopped doing that after 13 years to have a son and moved to Holland, and took some time out because that was very intense. Like, we would do 8 to 10 shows a week, sometimes 12, each show lasting an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 40 minutes with an encore. And it was probably like playing a game of football non-stop, hour and a half, that intensity, doing that twice a day, 8 to 10 times a week. At the end of that, I was physically and mentally and neurologically, nervously quite shot. Someone once asked me what it was like, and I said it was like burning a candle at both ends while sucking on a blowtorch. It was intense. Around that, there was a certain amount of discipline involved, but a certain amount of blowing off steam. So I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of drink, drugs and sexual encounters that went around the intensity of the physical act of doing the show. So my adrenal glands were shot. So when I came back in 2009, I took some time out, raised my son, limited my physical discipline to doing that and that. And then around about 2012, moved back to London, and yeah, got some work dancing. I danced as a dance ambassador for London around about the time of the Olympics, and travel around the country in London on a double-decker bus as part of a hosting dance team who would put out a dance floor for professional and non-professional dancers and the community to come along and learn different skills and put on shows. And we did that for about 4 years, and I also used to host at clubs, always danced at clubs. People used to ask me where I trained, and I say clubs, different clubs. I've mentioned them all to you now, but they don't no longer exist. And also the types of music they played there would be very eclectic, very eccentric, very mixed. Basically, it was clubs for dancers, people who knew how to dance, people who knew what they wanted to hear. So the mixture of, you know, jazz, funk, soul, rare groove, broken beat, jungle, bass, garage. Yeah, the whole gamut of good moving grooves. And then I saw the club culture change a lot when I got back to London. I do a lot of hosting, and it was very much changed, and do the odd advert dancing and the odd piece of work. And then I started moving a bit more into acting and physical theatre, getting jobs doing a lot of immersive theatre, which was very intense, incorporating a lot of more lyrical contemporary styles, which I've never really trained in, but did train as a clown for many years. That put me in good stead to give the impression that I was a lot better at something than I actually was. So I could evoke the feeling of a great ballerina or a great tango dancer for a limited time, until you saw that I probably wasn't a tango dancer and wasn't a ballerina. But I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, so I'm fairly competent in all styles, and I'm best just left to my own devices. Yeah, when I'm unhindered by my expression, because I'm a very emotional dancer. I'm a very emotional dancer. I'm not a trick dancer. I'm not into armography. I'm into sort of storytelling.
What is something that you want to spread with your activities, with your movement?
Basically, I would encourage people to explore their own movement potential. I often do workshops, and what I do is I don't really teach anything. I more facilitate a space for people to unfurl their physical texturizing, to explore their proprioception in space, to experience different dynamics, different moods, different feelings, different influences, work a lot with the elements, work a lot with ritual, work a lot with improvisation. And I'm not teaching the latest dance routines or choreography or whatever's in fashion, but more about finding your own rhythm, finding your limitations and pushing past them. And most of all, just having fun and just discovering a sense of unique journeying through your own emotional and physical limitations, miasms, things that are holding you back. Break through them and enjoy it. And what comes up, be it tears, be it fears, be it joy, be it confusion. Yeah. I would, in a soundbite, say, explore your own movement potential, feel unhindered by any expectations, and dance like no one's watching, and love like everybody's caring.
Sum up in one sentence what dancing means to you.
Dancing means everything to me because it is an expression of the most purest form of creation, in the sense that a great rule of the universe is impermanence, and dancing from the soul is just the greatest expression of that impermanence, because a lot of the time when I'm dancing, I don't know what I'm doing from one second to the next. And to be alive in that uncertainty and that unknowing is for me the most direct link to the Creator and one of the most ultimate principles of the universe, which is impermanence. Nothing stays the same from second to second, from nanosecond to nanosecond. Everything is in flux, ebb and flow. So to be a part of that is to be able to dance.
Of course, while you being a dancer, you are listening to music. I know it's difficult, but can you maybe have like a top 2 or top 3 of songs you're listening when you're training?
Do you know what? A lot of good dancers, what makes a good dancer is repetition. There's a discipline in repetition. There's a joy in repetition. I, however, get bored of any one particular genre or type of music if I play it over and over again. It just loses its effect on me. So I don't really have a top choice of songs. There's certain songs good for certain moments in my life, for certain feelings I'm carrying that day, that week, that month, whatever. And I tend to rotate them all the time. A good any day, any weather type motivational music for me that gets me going is some good broken beat. Some good broken beat with some dubstep tinges, some real nice, just the syncopations are off, the bass lines are off, the vibe is right. That tends to get me going no matter where I'm at. And that just gets me through and makes me want to push myself. And the bass got to be loud. I like a lot of Afro beat, dubstep, but it's got to be syncopated, it's got to be on the up. I love that. Sometimes if I'm feeling more melancholy, I listen to some rock. Yeah, I listen to some Pearl Jam. Really depends on the mood, you know. If I'm just angry and can't articulate my emotions, I'll get into some rock. If I really want to articulate my emotions and find where I'm at, some good reggae, some good like folk music, some good blues, funk. I can't tell you, man, but I could definitely give you a top 10 of like bangers that will get you going no matter what mood you're in. But sometimes I don't want to be detracted from the mood I'm in. I want to stay in the mood I'm in, and I want to follow that to its natural conclusion, zenith, and then see where that takes me.
Do you have any words you want to give to future generations to get moving?
Don't get caught in the superficial appraisal of who you think you are and what you expect other people to see in you. So it's hard. I have a young son, he's 11, and he just does it for the likes and the followers and the subscribers, with people he's never going to meet in his life. And I would say go one stage further than that. Do it for yourself. When you can bring real joy into your life through your movements and your understanding of your own potentials and limitations, that joy is eternal and unending. And you share that as your light source and as your exemplified example of a being, you will have such an effect on the people around you that you're not even going to be concerned about their likes, their subscribers, or their followers. So don't do things from the outside in, do things from the inside out. And use movement as a tool to empower you, make you face your fears, and release any inner traumas that you may be holding on to. Don't use dance as something just to put you in good standing and make you look good. It's more about the feeling. So feel. Don't be concerned about how others perceive you. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You'll find people are quite fickle. So just work on your own inner journey and consolidate yourself, optimize the version you want to see of yourself, and be a good, cohesive, consolidated person. Easier said than done, but dancing has helped me a lot, man. I can't tell you. I probably would be in prison, dead, or in a mental institute if it wasn't for dancing. If I had to bottle shit up and not let it out, forget it. Forget it.
Beautiful conclusion that what it made you, what dance made you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this interview.
No, thank you, Safa, man. I wish you the best with your endeavours and your projects, and may you bring a lot of keen insights into people's lives and inspire them.